Welcome to the Movie Pick, where my dad and his co-host do a deep dive on their favorite movies and all the things they love about them. Hope you enjoy this week's Movie Pick, recorded in Jet Studios, and give us a rating, but only if it's a good one.
Hey, unto you a child is born. What are you waiting for? Go see the baby. So this one's like a special episode. It's a little bit different than most of the ones that we've done.
Surprise! Bonus episode.
It is a bonus episode. And so we're doing the best Christmas pageant ever. And hopefully this is the best Christmas podcast ever. This movie had a $10 million budget and made $40 million.
Good for them.
Yeah, which means it was a great...
This movie came out in 2024, correct?
Mm-hmm. So this is by far the most recent movie that I've done by like 17 years. Because before this, the most recent was the 2007 I Am Legend. Like that was my most recent movie until this one. And I'm doing this one because of a special request from David Brown. David Brown, you better listen. So the top 5 for 2024, all of them almost were sequels. So number 5 was Despicable Me 4.
Good one.
Yeah, we've seen almost all these. So Despicable Me 4 was number 5. Moana 2 was number 4. Wicked was number 3. Thank you. Deadpool and Wolverine was number 2.
I'm actually shocked that Wicked was below that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it may have been because it came out in November.
Okay.
So, and then Inside Out 2 was number 1.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, interesting year. Despicable Me 4, Moana 2, Wicked, Deadpool and Wolverine, which, you know, honestly is one of those movies that I want to watch so bad, but I've never seen it just because I know how crude it is. And so, I just have to live through others telling me about all the cool comic book characters that show up. But anyway, so Dallas Jenkins, have you ever heard of this guy?
Yes, he directs Chosen.
Yeah, he was the director, creator,
writer,
co-writer, producer of The Chosen. So he was the director of this movie.
And I did recognize at least one actor from Chosen in this movie.
Yeah, the pastor.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't remember what like his character's name in The Chosen. I know he's one of the soldiers.
He was a Roman soldier.
And one of the higher ups in The Chosen.
And it makes sense that you said that this is like a $10 million film because I think there's only 2 actors that I recognize, like bigger names.
Yeah. Judy Greer is the main character, Grace.
Yes.
And she's not the most recognizable actor in this,
right.
But she's...
You know who she is.
Yeah, she's one of
Lauren
2.
Graham.
And, she's the mom, just in case you don't know actors' names and everything, she's the mom who steps up to do the pageant because she's offended when she's told that she can bring the cookies, just like she did last year, the store-bought cookies like she did last year. So that's when she steps up. But one interesting thing about Dallas Jenkins that I did not know that I found out this week is his dad was one of the writers of the Left Behind series.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, there's 2 authors. I think his dad's name is Jerry Jenkins. There's 2 authors of Left Behind, and his dad was one of the authors.
That's neat.
Yeah. And then the narrator of this story is an actress who is a legend within this household.
Yes. She comes from Gilmore Girls.
So, Lauren Graham was the narrator, the grown-up Beth. Like, and this movie was based off of a 1972 novel by Barbara Robinson.
And both of our children had to read this book in 3rd grade.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, both of them have read it. So. And
the Herdmans, so the characters of the Herdmans, they also show up in 2 other books of hers.
Oh, okay. So there's more Herdman story.
Mm-hmm.
I'd actually like to read that. You know, my stepdad, Mark, him and my mom decided after the kids had read it and stuff that they wanted to take a swing at it. So they did a audio book of the best Christmas pageant ever and like listened to it on one of their trips and loved it.
I didn't know that. But yeah, the other books, so they show up in the best Halloween ever and the best school year ever. Like
I'd read them.
Yeah. those are the two books that they also show up in. I don't know if it's all of them. I didn't read those books. I didn't like dive really far into that. And like for us, what are your first memories of this story just in general, the best Christmas pageant ever?
Okay, so like I said, our children each read this in third grade. But I had never read it. I've heard it, and honestly, until like this year, I think I've been calling it the greatest Christmas pageant ever instead
Mm.
of the best Christmas pageant
Hmm.
ever. And then the movie came out last year, and I was excited because I knew the kids had a history with it, but also that it had a faith based background. So I was interested in going and seeing
Yeah.
it. So, we went to the theaters last year to see it, and we
Hmm.
took my mom and stepdad with us, and my mother, who is notorious for this, but she boo hooed at the end of this movie.
Yeah, it's hard not to. It's hard not to. So my first memory of this was the old version. There's like an '80s version of this, which is like less than an hour long, movie version of it. I don't know if they call it a movie or just like a long episode of something, whatever.
TV
And
special.
yes, probably that's probably what it was. And I saw it when I was in sixth grade, but didn't know what it was. Like it was the same as A Christmas Story for me. Like I remembered seeing it, and I remembered the angel. Like I remember the little girl Gladys playing the angel, and I remember the little girl playing Mary, and it was Firuza Balk that played Mary.
And who's that again?
She was in The Craft and
Oh, the
Waterboy.
scary girl.
Yeah, yeah. But I remembered seeing it, but I didn't know what it was called. Christmas Story was actually the same way for me. Like I remember seeing A Christmas Story at my grandmother's when I was like 6 or 7, and I just remember seeing the scene when he beats up Scud Farkus, but I didn't know what the movie was called, and so I thought it was like this weird indie movie that I was the only one that knew about. And at that time, it kind of was like talking about Christmas Story for a second. At that time, it kind of was like a movie that people weren't that familiar with. Like it wasn't a big hit when it first came out.
Right.
But this movie,
I think this will be bigger as time goes on since it just came out
it
last
could
year.
be, yeah. Well, and like I said, when I saw that, it fell into that same wheelhouse as A Christmas Story because it was like I remember the story, I remember watching it, I just don't know what this is called, and I remembered liking it. Like when we watched it when I was at school, we watched it in one of our classes, obviously close to Christmas time.
Well, last year, our church did a kids' Christmas play, like a
Hmm.
small one.
Hmm.
And you and our family had just gone to see this movie, and I loved it so much. And the girl who was directing our children's play,
Hmm.
I was like, you have got to go see this.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to do so much for your heart as somebody who directs a children's play and all the kids that are involved.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we went to see the play of this 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
Um,
because I did not know that it is also a musical, and there are some very interesting songs.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get to those
Okay.
when we get to some of the scenes. So the movie itself, I love the way it opens up. Like it sets the scene really well. It said the Herdmans were absolutely the worst kids in the history of the world, and then it starts like naming all their sins. It like tells you they
And their
lied.
cat sins.
Yes, yeah, yeah. They lied. They stole. They smoked cigars. They even the girls. She said they hit little kids. They took the Lord's name in vain. They cussed teachers. Like it's kind of setting the stage for you to know.
We've
Just
all known a few of those kids.
yeah. Well, like Emma Jean's, which she's the oldest daughter. I think Ralph's the oldest kid in this story, but Emma Jean's like their leader, the daughter. And her first like ruthless scene sets her up well. I don't know if you remember that. It's when she steals the necklace
Oh,
from Beth, our main character girl, like the main little
yes.
girl. She steals the necklace for no reason at all, just for the fun of it. And then starts messing with Alice because she smelled like soap. And she was saying, "Oh, you must have lice again," because Alice had once had lice.
It was
Um,
one time.
yeah, yeah. But you can see, like, as an adult, you can see right through that.
Yes.
Like, you can see, like, these kids are just looking for
Attention.
yes, yes. And one of the things that I loved about it, and this movie is basically like, kind of going through it. One of the things I loved about it was, again, Beth is our main character. She's our main little girl. She's the
She's our
main.
narrator.
Yes. I loved her prayers.
Oh, yeah, when you heard her talking to God while she was in bed at night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you know, I mean, could you kind of pick up on what I loved about them?
She was so real with God and had a relationship with him and just spoke to him. There was no, I have to say these specific words when I pray.
That's exactly what I loved about her prayers, where they were so honest. And after watching this week, I had a couple of drives when I was praying, and I tried to do that. Like I tried to just be like, okay, look, I don't do all of the fancy stuff. Just talk to God because He knows my heart anyway. And so that was like one little lesson right there in the movie that was probably kind of hidden in the movie, or maybe not even on purpose, but it was impactful for me. But so they have the Emmanuel Annual. So the name
And
of the town. Do you know what Emmanuel means?
Father something, isn't it?
It means God with us. So that
And it's
was
also the name of their town.
yes, yes. And I love when she's going through like the history of the pageant. When Beth is talking about the history of it, and it keeps showing Mrs. Armstrong, the director, and it shows her face.
So serious.
Yes, it's like a very serious and grumpy face. But do you remember this scene when they're in the church and they're asking the kids, they bring in the kids once a month, and they're asking them, what are your favorite things about church?
Charlie says, no herdmans.
And even though it's funny, it is one of those things that like I feel like we feel sometimes. Like we may be relieved that someone's not there. Like, oh man, and we shouldn't, right?
No.
But to me, it was also like when they go back out to the car, and that's when like dad advice kind of backfires because they're getting on to Charlie for saying that, and he's like telling them, "Well, you always told me to be honest." And I know I had a similar moment like that with our daughter a few years ago, um, when we were driving somewhere. I can't remember where we were at, but it was me and Jared and Evie, and I was talking about the Fast and the Furious movies, and Jared said, something about when can I watch them or whatever. And I said, well, they're more just for adults. And Evie was like, well, why can you watch them and Jared not? And it was one of those scenes like this where he's asking, like, you told me to be honest. That's what Charlie's saying to the dad, and the dad like really can't come up with anything. He's like, well, only when it doesn't hurt others, or so, But love that scene. Like that's just a fun parenting scene. Now, do you remember the Herdman's first time at church?
Yeah. So the reason that they even came to church was because Charlie told them that at Sunday school they get snacks.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they're there for the snacks. And to be honest, I'm sure that happens a lot in churches of, in the poorer communities, like they are there because they want those snacks.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, and I love the whole, like, again, viewing it from the lens of, and this podcast is going to be a little more serious than some of the others, but looking at it through the lens of people that have not gone to church their whole life. And
Yes, because we assume that everyone knows the story of Jesus's birth.
right, or even just how to act in church.
Yes.
Like when they are passing the offering plate in, or like their offering bucket or whatever they have in Sunday school, and it says like Jesus money on it. Imogene takes it rather than putting money in.
Yes.
Now, granted, she knew not to, but still, like just assuming that someone would know to even bring money, or assuming that someone
Yeah.
would know to want to give back. Like all those things are
And we've had to have that discussion with our children of, maybe they come home from junior church or children's church and they say, so and so acted this way. And I have to remind them, well, they haven't grown up in church like you do. So they don't know any better. So you can be an example to them. And, I see the mom in this movie doing that a lot with Beth. Like she makes her go sit next to Imogene, which, P.S., I know that this is Imogene, but in the South, my instinct is to say Imogene.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so when
yeah.
they kept saying Imogene in this movie, I'm like, oh, okay.
That's Imogene. But I love that, like, everything they showed in that Sunday school and in that first service and everything, they were just looking around confused, or just taking it in. Like they were watching everything and watching the kids around them and just kind of taking the whole thing in. Now, when it gets to volunteering for the Emmanuel Annual, the Christmas pageant. Um,
Of kids participating or the director?
Not the director. She's already volunteered. But when it gets to the kids participating and Grace is asking for volunteers, Imogene could have been a crime boss.
Yeah, she could have.
Like,
She just needs to give a look.
yes, like her intimidation tactics were pretty much close to like Al Pacino. So again, the first rehearsal, this is another time of loving kids' honesty. Is Alice, when they were talking about, Alice said that Jesus wouldn't suffer the herdmans. And she probably viewed it that way. Like, Jesus wouldn't deal with this. I just love that scene.
Oh, little girl, do you know?
Yeah.
Which, P.S., I also just love Alice's faces. Her mother makes her, it's another little girl that has always played Mary the last few years. It's, unspoken that that's going to be her role. And then she doesn't get the role. And her mother makes her keep a journal of all the things that have happened during practice and all the things that the herdsmen do. And every time something goes different, she flares those little nostrils and shakes her head and gets busy writing furiously in her journal, learning to be a Karen per se. But like her faces, I'm like, this little girl's got it. I love it.
The little actress did a great job with the
she
Alice
did.
role. And I really thought something more would come of her taking the notes. Like, I thought there would be a big scene.
And it may in the book.
Yeah.
Well, and you do hear the mother later on quote some of the things that happened while she wasn't there because her daughter wrote them in her journal.
I guess I just expected some big scene of like kicking them out because of the notes that she took. I expected something. It didn't happen.
But back to your main point of that scene where Alice, the mom, or not Alice,
Mrs. Wendelson. I don't remember what her Alice's mom or
no,
Grace the director.
Grace the director. Yeah. When Grace realizes, let's start from the beginning because obviously these kids don't know anything, and then even Beth is like, "What do you mean the beginning? If we're going to talk about in the beginning, it's Genesis."
Yeah. Yeah, no, she was just giving them the beginning of the Christmas story.
And they're so blown away by it.
Yeah. Oh, no, I love the reactions to it. And the reactions are genuine reactions like somebody that's never heard it before. Because I love that they wanted Herod in the play so they could have battle scenes to kill him.
Yes.
Like, I thought that was hilarious. And if you study up on Herod, that wouldn't have been a bad scene to have in there.
Herod truly was a bad guy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. And then I love that, like Gladys, the youngest one, kept saying Shazam like she's a comic book hero.
Yes, because that's what the angel of the Lord would do.
And Ralph had one of the best lines saying that maybe we could have baby Jesus kill Herod. I don't know. Again, looking at it through the lens of someone that's never heard it was really fascinating and trying to see it through their eyes.
And I think we forget that, like when we're telling people about Jesus and bringing kids to church, or not even kids, like adults too. I learned so many scripture by working with kids and Awana's like as an adult, and stories as well, like that are more on my level. Yeah. Sometimes I can't understand the adult version, so the kids version is best. But we forget. I had a boss one time explain, if we say make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, well, actually everybody makes it different, and we have to do a step by step by step. We assume that people know how, or we all know it the same way, and we don't. And so Grace did the right thing by taking it step by step by step of, let's open our Bible and they didn't actually get any play practice done that day.
Well, and I love that right after that, you see already like Imogene's out in I guess that'd be the vestibule area.
Yes.
That'd be the proper word for it. And she's out in that area and she's looking at the picture of Mary. And I think there was, and that fascination could be two different ways.
It was a picture of Mary holding baby Jesus.
Yes. And obviously that fascination could be a fascination with Jesus and Mary. Her fascination was more with Mary.
Because she was pretty and she was nice. And that's what she wanted to be, and that's what she probably wants in a mother.
I was about to say, I think it's what she wanted to be and what she wanted to have.
Because those words have never been used to describe her.
Right. Right. So I thought that was a really interesting choice by the director to just have her, again, really fascinated. And that may have been in the book. It was a really good choice by the author or whatever. Whoever came up with that, good job. Now, the mom takes this time, though, while she's looking at that. Grace, the director, she takes that time to try to maneuver Imogene out of the play.
Because that would make her life so much easier.
Exactly.
And we'd always want to take the easier route.
And that's what I had a note of, is that sometimes, like in our ministries or in some things that we do, we want to take the harder people out to not deal with rather than do what God's telling us to do. And sometimes it's doing what God tells us to do that matters the most. And we see that through the story, but here she took what she considered the easier route. Talking about the mom, Grace, talking about the director. She took the easier route, or was trying to take the easier route of removing Imogene from it and saying, oh, you can just watch. Like, it might be more fun for you to watch. You had some really good questions in there. And then, like, skipping ahead a little bit, and this was the dad, which, dads often have to do, teaching everyone a lesson. When he takes them the ham.
So the finance committee, or I forget what it is, the hungry committee or whatever, the church does a box of food for families in the area. And his job is to take the herdmans their Christmas meal, and it is a giant ham. And his family has no idea that he does this every year.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and you can see, like, there's a couple of heartbreaking things in this particular scene. One is how excited the kids are.
They say he comes to the door with a ham. It's the ham man. The ham man. It's ham day.
Yeah, but like just how excited they are to get the ham. Like that can be heartbreaking, but also like the little nuance of Imogene not even being able to say thank you.
Like it's just not in her.
Yeah, she just doesn't have it in her to say thank you.
She's never been taught to be grateful.
Yeah. And I think just so much hard living has made it to where she probably doesn't even know who to thank and who to believe is authentic and real. Now, again, skipping ahead a little bit, when they go to the library, I love how Imogene is very fake in that scene. And what I mean is she's acting like
she knows what she's talking about.
Well, and she's acting like she only cares about the cake.
Yeah, she's convincing. So all the children go to the library to study their parts and study the story more. And Beth goes with them. And the only reason that she goes with them is because Imogene wants to steal her library card from her. And she says, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
And takes her to the library so they can study up. Well, of course, all of Imogene's little siblings do not want to do studying or do schoolwork. How boring is that? So she incentivizes them and is like, well, if we do good at our parts, this is how we get the cake.
Yeah, yeah. But you can tell right there, and again, whether the director was doing it or I'm just reading into things that I want to see or whatever. But to me, that was like the Holy Spirit working on her as far as getting her to read the real reasons of why she's playing this part. And she's starting to learn about Mary, about God, about Jesus. And so I love that scene. Like, again, she's faking to her siblings like she only cares about the cake.
Yes, but I also feel like no one has ever made, like, she's obsessed with that painting of Mary because she says she's pretty and she's nice. And those are words that have never been used for Imogene. But I also feel like important is another word that has never been used for herdmans. And she is wanting them all, especially herself, to know that their role that they have in this Christmas play is important.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons of going to the library and like studying up on it. Is like, we have this important role and like we are important people.
Well, and it showed that they do like movies.
Yes.
They like. I mean, they may break into the movie.
Where's rewrites? I've heard in the movies they do rewrites.
Yeah. So they like movies, and you're right. I mean, she liked. I think there was another aspect of it. She liked being somebody that she wasn't. She liked being somebody else, because obviously her reality was heartbreaking.
And she's had to be tough. She has all these younger siblings that essentially she's in charge of all the time. So, and they are wild. So, I mean, she has to be tough.
And this is 1972. So life is real. Now, we do, just had to mention this. There's a potluck dinner scene in this movie.
And everyone already knows how much Dave loves potluck.
Just had to let the potluck have a little cameo. If you don't know about the potluck, go back and listen to Santa Claus. Shameless plug. Now, they get to the second rehearsal. Love how it opens. Claude's asking if they can hang Herod. And I don't know. I mean, there was don't do it too loudly, but there was a song that they did in the play that we went to see about Herod that you loved the most.
Die, Herod, die. Shazam!
Yeah, and it was one of the funniest songs in the play. But again, when you think about it from the kids' perspective, they're just viewing heroes and villains.
And they say Herod wanted to kill a baby?
Well, he did kill his own 3 sons.
Yep.
So, and one of his wives. But, so, this is also the rehearsal where they think that Imogene started a fire. And, when she goes and smokes in the bathroom. And you can hear everyone accusing them and talking bad about them. And that's one of those things that, again, like looking at it from their lens, these are kids that are already beat down. Like they are already down on themselves. They have nothing. We saw their house. They have nothing but a house that's about to fall in.
And you never see their parents.
And a beware of cat sign. Like that's all they've got. And which the cat scene was hilarious in the very beginning when the kid, I can't remember which one brought the cat in. But again, these are kids that are beat down, and all that these people are doing, these, and this is where it gets really
adults.
Not just adults, but people that are supposed to be leaders in their church. People that are supposed to be Christians.
And not just leaders in their church, but leaders in their community as well.
So that's one of those like kind of checking yourself moments, like making sure that's not what I'm doing.
And how you make people feel. Because right before this as well, Imogene, when they're getting ready, she says, "Where's the baby?"
Yeah.
And the director says, "Well, we're going to use a doll this year." And she was like, "It's because of me."
Yeah.
And she knows it. She knows that nobody wants their baby to play baby Jesus because she's involved. She may harm my baby. She may have cooties.
Right.
She may have disease. Right. She's unclean, and to know that she feels that all the time. She knows that people feel that way about her.
Right. Right.
And because before that, they talk about the fact that all kinds of people were ready to donate their baby to be baby Jesus, even a 4-year-old, and he could scrunch up in the manger.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, it definitely goes to lengths to show hypocrisy within these people, within this church, and the way that they were treating the herdmans. Now, Beth, again, our main young girl,
narrator.
She goes to see Imogene because Imogene had quit the play and like they were all not going to show up. And I love this scene because it's just a reminder, like if you're a kid that's listening to this, I know we have some kids that also listen to the podcast. If you're a kid, you can minister to anyone despite your age. Like this is one of those things that if it wasn't for Beth going to see Imogene and kind of trying to talk her back into being in the play because they need her, I don't know that Imogene shows back up.
And Beth ministers in 2 ways. She ministers to Imogene, but she also ministers to her mom because the whole reason that she goes is for her mom.
Right.
My mom needs you.
No.
And so she ministers to 2 different people there.
No. Now we get to the actual play itself, like not the rehearsals. We get to the actual play. I love the little bitty thing of when Imogene shows up and she takes out her earrings.
It's a sign of respect.
Yeah.
That she shows because before this, when the director, Grace, tells her, "You can't wear earrings, Imogene." She said, if I take them out, they'll grow up. And she says, did the doctor say that? And she said, "No. Gladys pierced my ears." The normal 5 or 6-year-old that's over here has pierced her ears.
If you can remember Gladys, I would not let her pierce my ears.
No.
Yeah.
But she won't take her earrings out. And so her taking her earrings out right before she walks down the aisle as Mary is a sign of respect. And what she's doing is so sanctive. Is that a word? what
I don't know, but I think I know what you're saying, so that makes sense.
she knows what she's doing is very important.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and again, when you think about her very first scene is stealing the necklace and making fun of the girl for having lice for no reason. Like that's pretty much what it shows us first, as far as her first dialogues and stuff. And then we're getting to where we're going with her journey. Like again, it's showing like just slowly, 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 she's becoming a different person. Now, Gladys. Before we get into some serious stuff, Gladys does have my favorite moment of the whole movie when she yells at the shepherds.
She tells the shepherds to go see baby Jesus, but not in a polite way, in a true Gladys way.
Well, and I love when she just yells, "Hey!" Like,
Hey!
Yeah.
Child is born unto you.
Yeah.
Now go see him.
That's my favorite scene of the whole movie, as far as funny wise. But now the Magi, the wise men. Now this is the one that is probably the scene that gets me the most every single time. So they bring their gifts of gold.
Their gold, frankincense, and myrrh,
Yep.
which in biblical times was very important and very expensive and treasured.
And so the gold. So what those three represent? The gold was a gift symbolizing Jesus's royalty and him being the King of Kings. So if we go by the actual three, like the actual three that the Magi
that they were
took,
supposed to bring,
yeah, or that they did bring, that they did. And I'm talking about the real story.
Yes.
And so the frankincense was a fragrant resin used in temple worship, and it symbolized Jesus's divinity, and his purity and role as the high priest. And then the myrrh, which is one of my favorite words to say, the myrrh was a bitter spice used for embalming and as a pain reliever, and it symbolized Jesus's humanity, his suffering, and his sacrificial death for our sins. So again, the gold was him being seen as royalty and the King of Kings. The frankincense symbolized his purity and role as the high priest, and then the myrrh was, kind of a foreshadowing of his sacrificial death for our sins. And instead, and again, this is the part that gets me every time, they brought a ham. And
because these weren't just gifts, they were sacrifices that they were bringing to baby Jesus. And this family who loves ham, so excited about the ham man, bring their sacrifice of something that they truly love and cherish.
Right. And the thing I love about it, and I didn't pick up on it till the third time watching it, and I did not pick up on this, when you think about the whole reason they even came to church was for free food. And now they're giving up the best food that they were given. And when you think about like what that can symbolize, like,
yeah, it wasn't just what they had in the cabinet.
Right. And obviously, as a believer, like when you watch when Imogene starts crying during Silent Night, and everyone sees the nativity through her eyes. I love that scene. And like when all the adults are just breaking down, and especially and it made a point to show like every single person that was kind of judgy.
The
over
original director was moved by, and like Alice's mother, the one who made her write everything down in a journal, even turned around to the director and said, "Thank you."
Yeah. So love that scene. Now, no competitions for this movie. Like there's this one's again kind of different. I did write, and you may have some. There are multiple spiritual lessons that we can learn from this movie, like multiple. Are there any that you have?
No, you go ahead.
Yeah. So the first one, provide snacks at your church.
Say it again.
Provide snacks at your church.
Yes, it's always important, especially if you're in the South. Everything is centered around eating something.
Yeah. Unless it's potluck.
Even when we do children's church and we have an hour, we provide a snack.
Yeah. I love the pray real prayers, like pray real prayers and being honest with God because he knows our heart anyway. Like I loved, and I think Beth prays like 4 or 5 times in this movie. And I loved every one of her prayers. Like if you go back and listen to each one of them, they're all just very sincere. And she's just talking to God. Like there's no show, no anything. It's just she's talking to God.
I think one of them too is This is a great lesson for those that do any kind of ministry with children. And that doesn't mean just at your church. Some of the people who listen to this podcast are teachers of some sort, whether in a daycare, in a school setting, whatever. You may coach a team or whatever, and you may have some herdmans on your team. Like we've all experienced them, and they're hard to deal with. They're just as important. They are just as special.
No.
And they're worth it.
Well, and I
No
had
matter
this.
how hard they make it.
Yeah, well,
it isn't always rainbows and sunshines.
Yeah, and I had this on the spiritual lessons that we can learn, and it was the porch scene when Grace is talking to Beth, or Beth's talking to Grace, and Grace had the best line in the movie, which was, Jesus was born for the herdmans as much as he was for us.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and so like I love that line, and that line sticks out to me every single time. And there's a couple of good things right afterwards, and it's not just a line; it's biblical. And then obviously there's the good, not judging other people, because God used Imogene for something that if somebody else had done the part, it may have not been the same way. Like the whole premise of the movie was, or the beginning, Beth was saying like, this pageant's the same every year. It's like a tradition.
They don't like to change it.
Yeah.
We don't like change.
No.
It's just going to be the same as it always has been.
Exactly. And so like Grace allowing God to use her, and her allowing the herdmans to be in it, was like, if you look at the whole chain reaction.
Yes,
of that,
because that would have never happened pre-Grace.
right. And not to put down Mrs. Armstrong, because she learned the lesson at the end. Like, I mean, and that, so like, I'm not acting like high and mighty, because sometimes I might fall into being like Mrs. Armstrong instead of being
We've
like
done
Grace. Yeah. And then the last spiritual lesson that I think you can take from it is probably my favorite, which is, take your hand to God.
And what a perfect way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. Take, basically taking the best that you have and giving it to him. Well, are there any other thoughts that you had on the best Christmas pageant ever?
No.
Okay.
You did great.
Well, Merry Christmas. If you get to listen to this one's going to come out on Christmas Eve, which is when we're recording this. So this will be like the quickest turnaround of recording and putting it out there. But God bless and Merry Christmas.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to bump us up in the algorithms. You can send my dad any suggestions of movies you'd like for him to cover at themoviepick@aol.com. Thank you for listening.